Welcome to Family Basics 101. I'm Dr. Bruce McClure, the local minister at the Prince George's Church of Christ, located at 7800 Central Avenue in Landover, Maryland. This week, we will focus our attention on relationships, how to nurture wholesome relationships. We live in an era of people interacting with people. But the era that we live in is no different than the era of Adam and Eve. Whenever people are engaged in interacting with each other, we are dealing with relationships. Relationships can be wholesome, they can be nurturers, or they can be somewhat challenging. This week, we will spend our time looking at how to nurture, how to make relationships wholesome, and what energies must be expended by each individual that participates in the development of relationships. Healthy relationships are bigger than a mere transaction. That S should be an A. But just keep in mind that relationships should be bigger than a mere transaction. When people are just dealing with each other for one purpose, this is a business deal, this is, I'm just trying to get from point A to point B. This person has something I need. That's a transactional relationship. And it's never intended to go anywhere except this is what I want out of it. If I can get this out of it, I'm good. But healthy long-term relationships are bigger than just a mere transactional relationship. In the book of Amos, chapter 3, verse 3, and this is not a repeat, I've got the King James rendition, and also I have the New Living Translation of the same text of Amos 3:3. Can two walk together except they be agreed, according to the King James Version? But in Amos 3, verse 3, according to the New Living Translation, can two people walk together without agreeing on the direction they are headed? Well, that answer is a resounding no, it can't work that way. If individuals are going to go down a path together, they are going to go through life together relationally. There has to be an agreement on the direction and the path and the nuances as they travel that direction. And there has to be a mutual agreement on that. Or according to Amos 3, it makes, it makes the travel, it makes the journey very, very challenging, if not impossible. According to Psychology Today, the following components are necessary for a healthy relationship. First, maintaining a strong relationship requires constant care and constant communication. That there has to be a willingness to speak truth. There has to be a willingness to keep on speaking truth. There has to be a willingness of transparency, according to Psychology Today. Secondly, each individual must feel confident that the other individual or individuals will devote proper time and proper attention to each other. See, this is to depict a little television. But when people watch television, have you noticed how they watch very attentively? And they don't want distractions all around? Well, each individual that is really serious about developing good relationships, healthy relationships, must feel confident that the other individual or individuals who are building that relationship will devote proper time and proper attention to those in the relationship. Thirdly, each individual must be committed to accommodating differences that without doubt will change over time. I'm not the same person I was 45 years ago. My spouse is not the same person she was 45 years ago. My children are not the same individuals they were. So, what accommodating means is each individual must be committed to accommodating the differences that we know are going to come up over an extended amount of time. If we are not willing to do that, then long-term relationships are going to become rocky. You're getting older. You're getting slower. You don't remember like you used to. You don't have the energy you used to. You don't like to go where we used to go. Life changes. Well, now you like this type food. It used to be that type food. Life changes. Each individual must be committed to accommodating the differences, even down to seasoning food. Did you know your taste buds change over time? Each individual must have a strong sense of gratitude for each other in the space of life they are presently in. Each person must learn to appreciate the other person. Finally, each person, each individual, if they're going to nurture healthy relationships, each individual must be capable of providing and receiving affection that is emotionally nurturing, physically appropriate, and I added this addendum, spiritually uplifting. If we expect to have healthy relationships, each individual must be capable of providing and receiving affection that is emotionally nurturing, physically appropriate, and above all, spiritually uplifted to the individuals that want to have healthy relationships. There's a story in the book of Luke, chapter 15, most of you know it well, where a young man was tired of the relationship that he had in his home with his father. So he decided to leave home and develop relationships external to the relationship that was built between he and his father. And when he got out there on his own, you know the story, he found out that the individuals that he was chasing, they weren't interested in having a relationship with him. It was more of just transactions. You work for me, you get paid. You spend your money, I enjoy you spending your money. But when you have no money to spend, and when you can no longer work the way I want you to work, then we have no relationship. You know how that story went, and the young man ended up eating with swine. And while eating with swine and sleeping with swine and building a relationship with swine, verse 17 says, he finally came to his senses. And he said to himself, at home, even the hired servants have a better relationship with my family than I do out here in this pig pen. You see, he's getting a clear understanding of a relationship versus transactions. He figured out the way he was living in the pigsty, that wasn't a healthy relationship. He said, in a good relationship, people have what they need, enough to spare. And here I am dying of hunger. You see, he's looking at the unhealthiness of that relationship. What do I do about it? Well, let's find out, what did he do about it? I will go home to my father and I will say, Father, I have sinned against both heaven and you, and I am no longer worthy of being called your son. Please take me on as a hired servant. You see what he's doing? He's going home and he's going to concede to his father. Father, you tried to have a good relationship with me, and I pushed you away. Because at that time in my life, I wasn't concerned about healthy relationships. You were in my business. You were giving me healthy directives. You were trying to nurture me, and you were trying to develop me. See, those are all components of a healthy relationship. And this young man said, I'm going home because now I understand the difference between healthy relationships and just transactions to get through the day. So he returned home to his father. And while he was still a long way off, watch this relationship. His father saw him coming. In good relationships, people never forget them. Out of sight is not out of mind. In transactions, out of sight is out of mind. Filled with love and compassion, the father ran to his son. You see that? You see the relationship? The relationship from the father had been greater than a transactional relationship. He embraced him. Remember, I talked about proper touch? And he kissed him. Remember, I talked about the emotional nurturing? And his son said to his father, now he's communicated. I've sinned against both heaven and you. I'm being honest now. I want to bear my soul, and I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. Well, his father would disagree with that. But his father admires his humility in a relationship, building a relationship. It requires ongoing humility by those who are building the relationship. Come back tomorrow and we will discuss, why do relationships fail? I hope you come back, and I look forward to seeing you in class again tomorrow. Don't be late and don't skip class.